headquarters. Here's Fred Childers with This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Fred Childers. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. A court hearing on the Ten Commandments law wrapped up this week, and the judge will now determine if the law should go into effect while the legality of the law is being debated in court. Capitol reporter Shannon Hecht brings us the details.
To argue whether the state law mandating the Ten Commandments be posted in every public classroom should be allowed to move forward while the case moves through the court system. The lawmakers who passed the bill say the Ten Commandments are a historical document that nearly all of the nation's laws are based on. In the hearing, the plaintiffs called a historian who specializes in law, religion, and education, and he gave the historical context of the Founding Fathers and documents used in education in the early days of the nation. He concluded the Ten Commandments were not a pervasive part of forming laws or public education.
I think it's very clear that the objective facts are that the Founding Fathers and those who spoke on the foundational documents, the foundational law of this country, really made clear that the First Amendment requires that the government not form a specific idea or influence a specific idea around religion.
The state asked to strike the historian's testimony from evidence. Attorney General Liz Murrill argued the historian did not qualify as an expert witness. The state lawyers often tried to argue that he was biased. The professor defended his stance by saying it's based on decades of research.
This case is really about the legal test for whether it violates the First Amendment or not, and I don't think that what he said had anything really relevant to that question for the judge.
This hearing is not on if the law is constitutional or not, only to determine if the posters can start being posted starting November 15th.
Now, the judge says that he plans to rule on this by November 15th, and there will likely be an appeal on whatever that ruling is. The governor's cabinet continues to pitch his tax reform plan to legislators in hopes of them passing it in a special session probably next month. Capitol reporter Shannon Hecht brings us more of the plan's details as they are revealed.
The Department of Revenue gave a lot of updated numbers on how each parish will be impacted by these tax reforms. A lot of the legislators say that they still have a lot of questions and concerns. The public and lawmakers are slowly learning more about what the impacts of Governor Jeff Landry's tax reform plan will be. Some of the key points include a flat income tax rate reduction, broadening the sales tax base, and reducing the number of tax credits that are given out. But on the parish level, moves like altering the manufacturing sales tax exemption could lead to some loss of revenue.
We could make the state and local bases uniform. Part of that is the MM&E disparity, and then allow them to make up the difference in some of that MM&E cost by having those recurring expenses.
The loss of that local sales tax is said to be made up with increasing sales taxes on repairs and maintenance. Legislators are skeptical of whether the projections will be the true money brought into the parish.
Otherwise, you're looking at some of these parishes, that's a substantial amount of money when you're looking at $42,600,000 a year.
Secretary Richard Nelson says that their numbers are a very conservative approach to the calculations. State Senator Jay Luno also brought up that removing the local sales tax on prescription drugs will be a big hit to some areas. The Legislative Fiscal Office says that they may not be able to make a true projection of how much the parishes will gain or lose in this plan. There is still not an official date of when this special session will take place, but the plan still is to have it in November between Election Day and Thanksgiving. At the Capitol for your local election headquarters, I'm Shannon Hecht.
Federal officials want to know if Louisiana remains committed to a nearly $3 billion planned coastal restoration project that litigation has stalled. Officials said in a letter to the head of Louisiana's Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority that they expected the state to return federal funds allocated for the project if the state decides not to move forward with it. The Mid-Barataria Sediment Diversion Project is a key coastal restoration project. Losing the project would be a major blow to scientifically backed plans to respond meaningfully to coastal land loss. This is controversy in New Orleans.